The first course of action is categorizing the rider into one of 5 pedaling styles. This step is an assessment of the way the rider is currently pedaling. The fitter will determine if the rider is pedaling neutral, valgus, varus, windswept, or woodchopper. The fitter will rely heavily on knee travel tilt and lateral knee travel data in V7. Supporting alignment data will also come from the hip and knee offset to the foot. Some support decisions may also affect previous steps in saddle positioning. Don't hesitate to go back to reference that data too. Neutral is pedaling both knees in alignment between the hips and feet. There is little lateral movement or angular movement. It's as if the knees are moving straight up and down in line with the hips and feet. It is near impossible for a rider to pedal with perfectly neutral knees, and the fitter will see that in the Retool Vantage data. Neutral knees will have a knee travel tilt near 0 and little lateral movement. Less than 10 millimeters is a significantly stable result. Valgus is knees falling inside of the hip and the foot throughout the pedal stroke. This is the type of pedaling the fitter will see the most. That is because the knees tend to dive inward when the arch and forefoot collapse. Since most riders have varus forefeet and collapsing arches, their knees are going to follow the collapse inward. The rider's knees may appear to dive inward at the start of the pedal stroke, then angle towards straight as their stabilizers jump into action to keep the knee aligned. A rider with significantly valgus knees, where the knee stays totally inside the hip and the foot, would trend toward a negative tilt angle. Knee lateral travel will show the total movement of the knee, representing the delta from the most outside to the most inside the knee travel. Varus is knees tracking outside of the hip and foot throughout the pedal stroke. The knee stays to the outside and may also have some lateral movement. This looks like the rider is trying to keep their knees to the outside, like they are pedaling around something in front of them. V7 data will tend to show varus with positive knee tilt values greater than 4 degrees. Varus pedaling often relates to pelvic structure, hip width relative to feet, and body shape. Stance width is an important adjustment for this rider, as they tend to need their feet out underneath their knees. Woodchopper pedaling is a form of varus pedaling. It is defined as the knees tracking outside of the hip and foot at the top of the pedal stroke and inside at the bottom of the pedal stroke. The knee path is a diagonal line that goes from outside over the top of the pedal stroke, then dives inward and ends up inside the hip and foot at the bottom. Pelvic structure, hip width, and body shape are possible causes. The rider's knees may be coming into contact with their stomach, which may push the knee out over the top. Hip range of motion is also a key assessment for this rider. A rider nearing the end range of their hip at maximum flexion over the top of the pedal stroke will also push the knee out to create more space for the leg to clear. Then after clearing the top, typical collapsing structures allow the knee to dive inwards. The rider will display with significant lateral movement of the knee and typically a value greater than 4 degrees of knee travel tilt. Windswept pedaling literally looks like the rider is being blown to one side of the bike. One knee tracking inside, valgus, and the other knee tracking out, varus. This noticeable asymmetry is typically caused by a significant asymmetry from the physical assessment. This may have been noted earlier in the fit during the first step, saddle selection. The level pelvis assessment may have shown one side higher than the other, indicating some lower body asymmetry. Significantly different foot and ankle structures could potentially be a cause too. The fitter will need to review the assessment and find where the body asymmetry may be and support accordingly in the next few steps. Step 9 is done once the fitter has considered the rider's pedaling alignment and identified the type. Next, the fitter will utilize their tools in a prescribed order to best support the rider's biomechanics. Review the pedaling alignment style chart in the textbook, which also outlines how to proceed based on each type of alignment. Valgus, neutral, and windswept riders will be supported in this order: footbeds, wedges, stance width. Varus and woodchopper riders typically benefit from additional stance width first, then address footbeds and wedges. You will see the book generally labels steps 11, 12, and 13 as footbeds, wedges, and stance width. Step 10 is an advanced fitting step for leg length discrepancy that is a part of the Level 2 training. We suggest focusing on the standard set of Level 1 assessments and fitting steps as you begin your practice.